What's going on, y'all? My name is Pope Stefanos. This is the Artist Album Cover Podcast, and today we have a special guest with us in the studio. Let's go ahead and introduce yourself, my man. Who are you? Where are you coming from, brother?
All right, my name is Petit Monstre. I am a visual artist as well as a spoken word artist from here in Las Vegas. I do spoken word poetry, and I am also a photographer by trade. So I like to express myself through those mediums.
Yeah, brother, when it comes to spoken word, right? It's one of those mediums that a lot of times people will confuse with like hip hop, right? Like, and people will see it and they'll think of the flow and the cadence, and they'll say like, all right, it sounds similar, but it has its own differences. So in your mind, like when it comes to spoken word and how do you deliver it, how would you say it separates itself?
I would say kind of the way it separates from hip hop or rap is that, of course, like when we're listening to rap, we like, aesthetically when we're listening to it, we like to hear rhyming all the time. You have to be on beat. You have to
Yeah.
be in a certain pocket for your rhymes and your flow and your delivery to sound good. If you're really trying to rap. With poetry, I feel like with me at least, I can slow it down, or I can really concentrate on the words to get my message across, and the music is kind of secondary almost. So, because I listen to a lot of conscious rap where I feel like the message is first, or
Yeah.
more the most important, but the music is going to get you to move or even listen closer. So to me, the difference is just kind of the musicality, but rap to me is also an acronym, rhythm and poetry.
Oh, you know
So
what? I never
poetry
saw
is
it
the
that way.
basis of where rap came from.
I never saw it that way. I never really looked at it and figured, okay, well, you can look at it as its own. It is its own form of poetry in that sense. And usually when it's done and it's delivered to us, like how you said, in a spoken word way, like listening to a lot of your raps, not raps, my apologies, a lot of your poetry, your
Yeah.
spoken word, there's times where I'm listening to it and I'm saying, oh man, there's bars that's here, and it's, you take a moment to just break it down. You kind of just start researching it,
Yeah.
you start looking it up. And so I can tell when it comes to how you deliver, there's a lot of like history that comes with it.
For sure.
Right. And so with that, where does that come from for you? Like how did that play an influence in your style and deliverance?
For me, like when I'm writing my poetry, and even the influences to my poetry is a lot of music and mostly conscious rap. So when I'm writing, I'm kind of trying to be as good or like have a complex metaphor to explain something rather it be so simple to where you could just read it and understand it. I want you to try to research it and then understand how I was correlating these two things, because the people that I listen to, that's what they made me do. They made me go research something because they said this certain thing is like this other certain thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
but I don't even know what that other certain thing is. So how are you correlating something? Then I had to go do research. And then I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's a crazy analogy. That's a crazy metaphor. So then it inspired me want to do the same thing. My favorite rapper of all time is Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah.
So
that's the GOAT.
I'd tell you something.
That's the GOAT, man. And in all honesty, there's no rapper that's like, when we talk about a wordsmith, right? When we talk about a lyrical technician, somebody who's not just like a punchline rapper, but is also somebody who can make you think of what he's saying, right? Like for me, one of my greatest, like my favorite analogies for Lupe is when he drops a rap, it's like how in anime, like the dude that does the sword slashing and then he walks away, and the moment he puts his sword down, that's when all the cuts happen. Like you don't see it happen, like you're not realizing it until right when it happens, And so when it comes to conscious rap, what are some other, like, who are your top five? I would ask who would be your, like, if we had to, like, let's go ahead and start this now. Like,
Okay, damn. My top five.
I wouldn't even say top five conscious, but just like let's go ahead and start with the top five.
Okay, top five. Ooh, there's so many.
But we'll start with, because here's my thing, right? I feel like hip hop is generational, right? So to give each generation its credit, I'll say from the beginning of rap, like 90s, 80s, 90s, up into 2010.
Okay.
And then after that, your top 5 from 2010 up to now. You know, just so that we have that little bit of a, you know, because we're not gonna sit here and say like it's difficult to put Pac and Biggie in the same category as, you know, somebody that just came out now, like a Denzel Curry. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I respect so many rappers and so many artists. I would say my top 5, like my top 5 overall, I would say Lupe, number 1. Number 2, I actually like Absol.
Yeah, man.
That's my number 2.
Yeah.
And then, man, if we're just talking about like the music and stuff, I really like Outkast. You know, people like Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
You know, Black Thought from the Roots and everything. Black Star.
Yeah.
Who else? I'm always forgetting people, but yeah, like those type of people. Common.
Yeah.
You know, Kanye West.
Yeah.
You know, old Kanye. You know, new Kanye too a little bit, but yeah, definitely people that make you think, make you, you know, have some discourse about something.
Because for me, one of my favorite rappers, the moment you said Black Thought, I was just like, damn. I've heard him say some stuff where he's talking about revolutions, you know, he's talking about uprisings, he's talking about things that are happening in other countries, you know.
For sure.
And for you as not just a spoken word, you know, poet, but also as a photographer, as somebody who's a visual artist, visual art plays a big role, like when it comes to music, right?
For sure.
And one of the big things for music is that album cover, right? That's the first thing that we look at. That's the first thing that we judge an album cover, like a music off of, right? Especially growing up, we would go into Target, you know, we go into record stores and we look and we wouldn't be able to know who somebody is, you know, if we're not from that region. We just like, all right, I'm gonna just take it off the shelves.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to album covers, who's a band and who's an artist that you'd love to do an album cover for?
Oh shit.
Like if there was any artist that like hit you up right now and, you know, or you had the opportunity, you was in the game, and that artist was like, yo, I want to work with you, or you want to work with them, you had full access to them, who's the artist you want to do an album cover for?
I would definitely say Lupe, just because, you know, that's my guy.
Yeah.
But as far as people that I feel like their vision for the album cover would be like kind of crazy or like very experimental, and something like a challenge, would be like Thundercat, or even these groups like the Internet.
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah, that's a good one.
You know, yeah, just people like that. You know, I really love cover art. I love the idea, like how they come up with it. You know, the theme, the thought behind it. Let me think. Who else would I really want to work with? Kendrick for sure. Kendrick.
Oh yeah, Kendrick, that GNX album cover, man.
Yeah, because his like he's very cinematic with his visuals.
Yeah.
So I know he would want something that, you know, makes a statement. You know, like To Pimp a Butterfly cover is crazy. You know, so yeah, something like that.
Man, the Pimp a Butterfly album cover is just, that's one of those ones that you put up on like a poster or a wall, you know. That's like our generation, like how our mamas would have like the picture like Jesus and, and MLK and Malcolm X, you know, that would be like right up there for us, in my opinion.
Facts,
you know.
facts.
And so when it comes to musicians, who's somebody that you could say, who's an album cover that you just like saw off the rip, you know, you didn't know who they were, or it's just like their album cover just immediately grabs your attention. You saw it and you were just like, all right, I never heard of this person, and I just saw the album cover and I just, all right, let me listen to it just based off of that.
I don't think I've been in record stores and gone through, but I can't remember like what album cover, because all the album covers that I do recognize, I already know who it is. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay,
there've been a lot of different ones that I've seen for sure.
so what would be one that I'd say? What would be one that sticks out to you? What would be the one album cover that you walk by or you saw it and you was just like, damn, this really stuck with me. It's really carried in my head.
I would say that Childish Gambino, "Awaken My Love," with the blue with the like kind of African mask with the lady. She's looks like she's like crying or something.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty like attention grabbing to me.
Yeah, that one's one that I know that he did I think it was one that he did an homage to as well. It's one that he did an homage to a 70s band, and it's so crazy because a lot of times, especially I feel like with black music, we were a culture that kind of recycles
For sure.
our music. We recycle our art, right? And it's one of those things where you may see a piece that was done, but it was done like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and we're doing it in homage too, And so when it comes to that type of like vibe, that influence, who would be somebody that you could say, I wouldn't say you recycled through, but they definitely are of an older generation. You like, you know what? I like their style. I like their cadence. I like their delivery. Because I know you talked about Common.
Yeah.
I know you talked about Black Thought. Who would be people not just in the rap world, but also in the visual arts world, that you said, all right, I really like what they've done and it's influenced me.
Okay. I would probably say like some of the probably like older music videos that different people have directed, like Hype Williams, stuff like that. Some of the like more popular music videos that you see, like Missy Elliott music videos, Ludacris music videos, those type of things where it's like very like kind of chaotic and very outlandish and very like in your face, like attention grabbing. I like that type of stuff. I like loud colors and stuff like that. So I'd say like stuff like that inspires me for sure.
In all honesty, I feel like that style is just, you don't see that nowadays.
Right.
The art of making a music video isn't the same as how it was before. Because music videos, I think I was watching it was 50 Cent in the club.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And what's funny about it is I remember the intro is just like its own little movie.
It's a classic joint. My boy's like working out. He's fucking doing what it's like sit ups like upside down like on the bar. It's crazy.
And those types of music videos I feel like are definitely something that they were just like cinematic. I was another one that came into my mind was the Busta Rhymes video with him and Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of it, it said "to be continued," and they never made a part 2 to it.
Right. They used to do that all the time. Now
all
that I think
the
about
time.
it. No part 2 ever came, but it made you want more. It was like, okay, yeah.
And so I always like when it comes to that type of work, the thing that always left me kind of wanting more is the fact that they never delivered it to us.
Yeah.
Right? So there was that disappointment in it, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you could tell when an artist kind of doesn't give us like their full like affection towards a project.
Yeah.
You can tell that they put something out and it's just like a throwaway project, right?
Right.
And so what would be an album cover or what would be a project from a group that you looked at and you just said like, all right, I can tell that they just put this album cover out just for the sake of the label. They just threw it out just because they had to. It wasn't something that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you looked at the album cover and you was just like, you know what? I'm not really feeling this album cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me see. I'd probably say like Lupe Fiasco's like it was like Drogas Light or Wave or some shit like
the
that.
one with the Japanese symbol on it, right?
Yeah, like I messed with the concept and everything, but it was just kind of like
It was just out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like every artist, I feel like they just give us that one that you just throw it out and you just brother, what was all of that about? right? Like there's some artists who are able to give us just back to back great album covers, right? Like Ab Soul, we talked about Ab Soul. I think that every single one of his album covers, like nonstop, every single one, even the one that just came out, Soul Burger, like that's a really dope album cover, and just the photography of what was done with it and the lighting of what's done with it, you know, for me, it's not one of those ones that you see too often, right? A lot of times when people do portrait photos of themselves, it's usually the face, and in this one, he wasn't really showing his face. So, when you look at somebody like Absol versus somebody like, somebody who's a little bit more mainstream, do you feel like they have that option more to play with their album covers, to play with the delivery?
Maybe because sometimes a label, you know how labels are and how you know, they push certain things that they want because they
Hmm.
feel like the consumer will gravitate to that more. So with Absol and the team that he has at TDE, I feel like he probably has a little bit more creative control over things of that nature, and I feel like that's better. It lends to his audience and everything like that. It's better. Like he knows best for number one his art,
Yeah.
and those fans, his fans, are gonna gravitate to that because he's staying true to himself. So
Yeah. I mean, once you get that established fan base, your fan base is one of those people that just they're going to respect what you put out. Like I've been a Currency fan for like damn near, it's crazy. Currency been putting out projects for like 20 years,
forever.
right? Like he's been one of the most consistent in the game, and it's one of those things where he stays that way because he's always has fresh ideas, right? And so for you, I know that you have a project coming out,
Yeah.
within the next couple coming weeks, right? And this is going to be your first one, your first spoken word, full length project, right? And so with that, how do you feel about this being your first project to where you're like, all right, this is all me, I'm giving you 12 tracks of pure rawness, of pure emotion. How do you want us to how do you want us as a listener to go into it?
I just want the listeners to go in with, of course, open ears. I want you to be able to feel what I'm saying, as well as just kind of like just listening to it. That's why I kind of picked the certain production over each track because I felt like that production mirrored what I was saying. So I want the listeners to be able to come away with the message that I'm trying to convey. Each poem, of course, has a different theme and a message that I'm trying to get across. So I want you to listen, have fun, be intrigued by what I'm saying. Also, hopefully, maybe do some research on the different, metaphors that I'm using.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
and yeah, I just, I want people to be impressed by it, but I also want them to come away with something at the end, either feeling better or feeling inspired to, write their own poetry.
Okay. Man, poetry is one of those things where I feel like when you have that gift of words,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're able to put words down in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And in your delivery, it's something that I feel like everybody has their own type of talent, right?
Yeah.
Like painters have their thing, dancers have their thing,
Mm-hmm.
musicians have their thing. And so when it comes to how you deliver it and how you lay it down, and how you deliver the tracks,
Mm-hmm.
is it something to where where's your headspace when you're doing these? Like, are you in a space of like creativity, or are you in a space of like, how are you feeling, or how were you feeling when you were creating this?
When I was actually writing the poems, I get inspired by different things, music, current events, and that's going on in life. My experience, the Black experience.
Mm.
When I'm recording, I'm kind of in a space of like I'm performing because I go to the before I ever did any of this, I would go to open mics. I still go to open mics, slam event or competitions. So that helped me perfect like the delivery of the poem because you
Mm.
could write some. We all know it. People can write some fire shit, but once it comes for the time for the listeners to listen to it, if you're delivering it with no emotion or no passion, what I'm saying, then they're not gonna believe you, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, for me, it's just about that, really. It's just about delivering and being in the moment of what you're talking about in the poem. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to perform and emphasize different words, emphasize different ideas while I'm doing that.
Right, right. So the one thing that I noticed too is you talked about the black experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so with the black experience, like being not just a black creative, but a black man creative,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of the things for us is sometimes when it comes to that creative space, right? Outside of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
right? Outside of hip hop, which gives us all of the creative freedoms that we want,
Yeah.
in the world of like visual arts, photography, poetry, even to some degree, how do you say how do you say, what would you see us as? How do you see our position and where do you see, how do you feel comfortable, in that spot?
Yeah.
How do you, my apologies, how do you create that space for, I guess you can say other black creatives who are not in that same type of realm of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
but still enjoy things like spoken word,
Yeah.
or who are outside of the realm of that,
Yeah. Well, I feel like in every industry, if you look, you will find a black person at the top.
Yeah.
Like, there's really
Yeah.
hardly anything that you can go to and be like, and not find black excellence.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Hockey, there's someone.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
whatever you want to name, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, engineering, math, science,
Hmm.
like whatever. We are at the top of every industry. So it's like, to me, it's like other people have opened the door for me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but me doing it is just only inspiring like younger generation to know like,
Mm.
oh, you could do poetry or you could be a photographer. Because when I was a kid, I knew people were photographers and different things, but I never saw really nobody that looked like me doing it. Like, or
Yeah.
nobody told me like, yo, you could take pictures for money. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You just think that's for somebody else or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you growing up, you're just like, okay, I'm a hoop or I'm a rap
Yeah.
or I'm gonna entertain, I'm gonna act.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we see the most of. We
Hmm.
see ourselves on TV, acting, rapping, entertaining, and things of that nature for the most part. But now we know, we can do anything really.
Yeah.
And it should be shown to us more. That way
Hmm.
we know. We have multitude of different avenues we can go to. And we're not pigeonholed into these certain type of things just because we're black.
Hmm.
Really, there is nothing that we can't do.
See, and the great thing I love about that is when I look at a lot of your work in photography,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the greatest things that you're able to capture is you capture the black experience in like so many different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're able to capture these moments of like youth, innocence, joy, happiness, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of these types of things that a lot of times we never got that experience of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's one of those things where even for me, as a painter, nobody told me like, "Yo, you could like do this," and
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you could share with people, and it's okay,
Yeah.
right? And our community, it wasn't something that it's not even that it wasn't frowned upon, but it was something that nobody ever like.
Yeah.
People were kind of indifferent towards it. If you was just a brother with a camera, people was just like, all right, that brother got a camera.
Right.
If he was the dude that knew how to draw, they was just like, oh, he just know how to draw. But
Yeah.
if he was the one who knew how to rap,
Yeah.
or play or hoop, that's the one that they was just like,
Right.
all right, that's the one that's gonna
Now we're
make
impressed.
and so I felt like we were kind of pushed to the side, but at the same time, I feel like we're also necessary because we're able to shape the image
Right. Yeah. We tell the
of
stories.
we tell the stories, and we are able to share those stories in ways into people who may not have access to our community in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, when it comes to telling that story, right, what is the what would be the big message? What would be the one thing that you would want to tell not just the world, but also to like that young black boy with a camera, right?
Yeah.
Like that's walking around, trying to take pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that young black girl that's right now in the classroom, she's writing her poetry. What would be the thing that you would want to tell them?
I really just wanted to tell him to stay the course,
Yeah.
keep going no matter what. Like, and of course, maybe your passion may change or your direction may change over time because that happens a lot. But as far as you trying to get to your goal, trying to succeed, always keep going. Never stop because it's like you never know how close you are to getting to where you want to be or getting to somewhere you never even knew you were going to be. You never even thought about.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, I didn't even know I would just go astronomical with this shit. Like, or what I'm saying, inspire somebody or somebody see you. You don't ever know who's watching either. Like,
Yeah.
don't don't get discouraged about the views. Like, if you're an artist, don't get discouraged about the views or none of that. It's people that had like 1, 2 views last year, and now they doing numbers. Like,
Yeah.
so just keep going, and keep doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing what you love to do and you do it to the best of your ability, success is inevitable to me. That's what I think.
Man. Hey, Petit. It was a good interview, brother.
I appreciate you, man. For real.
Thank you very much for stopping by, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all appreciated this conversation. I hope y'all take something away from this. And I hope you guys, take the time to just listen to it. Check out my man Petit. He's having a new project dropping. When's it dropping?
I'm not sure. We're still rolling out. We're still getting the rollout done. Me and my guy Todd Zach Jr. He's a executive producer for the whole album. It'll be out sometime this year, 2025. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Follow my guy Pope.
Yeah, man. And if you guys want to catch him at any of his spoken words, his profile will be in the description, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.